We get to do a lot of fun things here on Vintage Geek with vintage computers and technology, but today I'm especially excited because I get to play with Lego. Welcome to Vintage Geek. Each and every week we make videos about vintage computers and technology. If you're into that, you like that sort of thing, please like and subscribe. It's going to help us as we grow here. Today we're talking about Lego. Now we've talked a lot about educational systems and computers and products from the 1980s, but one that I think is really interesting is Lego because they got into robotics early on, and even back from the 1960s they had sets that involved early 4.5 volt motors and electronic components, so they were no stranger to the electronics game. But in the mid-80s they came out with a product line called Dacta, which was really for the education sector. You couldn't just go out and buy a Dacta set as a consumer, they had to go through schools. But the point of it was to teach kids about robotics and kind of early computer techniques, and the sets actually had full functionality with early Apple and IBM PC compatible computers. We have one of these sets here at Vintage Geek, and I'm really excited to play with one of these because I never got to do this as a kid. Our school did not have the Lego Dacta system. We're going to see what the Lego set is all about, how their motorized system works, and the robotics kit works with an early IBM PC. Should be a lot of fun as we go through this here on Vintage Geek. We have here the original Lego Dacta set. This would have been distributed to schools. We have this for the IBM PC, and that's what we're going to use for our testing today. So I'm anxious to see what this kit contains, everything that comes in the box. And the first thing we have looks like it's the actual Lego kit itself. So this is the 9700 series. As you can see, it actually is labeled Technic, so this would be early Lego Technic. The Dacta, I believe, is specifically for the education sector. There's a large majority of parts in this box. You can actually see on the label that there is some kind of robotic apparatus here that's got some wires hooked up to it, so I'm assuming that's what we're going to be controlling with our computerized system. If we take a look inside the box just to kind of see how everything looks inside, we see that we actually have kind of a convenient plastic carrying case for all of the parts, I assume. Oh yes, I do appreciate early organization of things like this. We got kind of components for everything. Looks like we've got some minifigures in here. We've got a couple of these motors. So these are the 4.5 volt motors that I mentioned earlier. It looks like it's a pretty complete set from what I can see. You've got 2 layers of parts here. So you've got all of your wires and interconnects in the second layer and more of the standard bricks. But I don't see anything right off the bat that looks like it's missing, so that's definitely encouraging. It looks like we also have some documentation. This is on the Lego Technic control system. Next up in the box, looks like we've got a catalog of Lego materials. And this catalog actually has a 1993 date on it, so I'm curious if this was maybe one of the last of the kind of first generation Dacta series. If you remember this from when you were a child, please leave a comment in the comments below. I would love to hear from you about your experiences with this set. We've got this box here. Now this is called Lego TC Logo, and as I understand it, this is the actual software that's used to control the system. Inside this, looks like we have a number of different books. We've got the Getting Started Guide, Making Machines, Teaching the Turtle, and we've got the reference guide, the TC Logo. So it looks like it's a really complete set of documentation for this, which is great. Because I don't know much about it, so I'm hoping this will teach me everything I need to know to actually set this up. We've also got the teacher's guide in here, so it's always good to have answers, you know. We've got another setup guide as well, so it's nice they put this all in this kind of convenient storage box. And underneath that, we have the 9771, and I believe this is actually the interface that's going to go into the computer. Yes, it certainly looks like it. We've got a ribbon cable here. It looks like it will connect to a device. We have the physical card as well as looks like a couple of discs, a master disc, copy of the TC Logo disc. So it's a complete software package along with the interface card. Just taking a quick look at that card, this is what's going to go into the actual IBM PC. It's got a backplane connector on it, which I think is what that ribbon cable is for. But overall, there's only 5 chips on this board and only a few interconnection points, so I assume it'll get the job done. Last but not least, we have the 9750 Technic interface. Now this should be the box that's going to create that connection point between the computer interface card and the actual physical motors and accessories in the Lego set. This is the actual interface, and it looks like it's got a total of 8 different connection points across here. Each of these look like those 3-wire connectors that we saw in the kit earlier that are actually in the Lego set. So I assume they will connect to different pieces. And it looks like all of these go through some kind of a bus arrangement. There's a stop button on this, which I guess means it interrupts communication to those devices, I'm not sure. Looking at the end of this, it's got the ribbon connector, which will connect to the computer, as well as the power input. And I think with this, we have all the pieces we need to try to make this work. So for our Lego experiment, we're going to use the IBM AT. This is one of my favorite machines in the fact that it's very complete, has a working hard drive that's original, and everything about the system is in good working order. So we're going to go ahead and insert the new Lego DACTA card into this computer. Should be pretty easy. Just slide this cover off. When it comes to early PCs, you just can't beat the sturdiness of these original IBM ATs. This thing is built like a tank. It's got plenty of open expansion slots. We're just going to put this right in this slot here. Try to get that all lined up properly. We got our Lego card inserted in the machine. Should be ready to go. It's got a nice ribbon connector in the back, ready to connect our controller. We should be able to put this machine back together. I've decided after looking through all the materials that I want to do the exercise on teaching the turtle, since that's what I remember from when I was a kid, having that demonstrated in the classroom. Now to do this first, I'm going to need to build the actual turtle out of the Lego set, and that involves this activity card number 8, which gives me the detailed instructions on how to actually build the physical robot. So we're going to start there and build this out of Lego, and then we can make it controlled by the computer, hopefully. I do appreciate the fact that Lego made all these compartments organized. It makes it a lot easier to find the pieces. I've been through some modern Lego sets recently at home with my son, and they all come in giant bags of parts that we usually end up putting in bowls and various other ways of trying to get them organized. That said, I'm not the fastest Lego builder in the world, but I'll try to get through this as efficiently as possible. And so far, I mean, this feels like a fairly standard Lego build. I mean, even though these instructions are presumably from the late 80s, still feels exactly like building Lego sets today, so that's good. We've got these kind of, looks like axle pieces we're going to be using. I assume this is for different wheels we might need. I would imagine that once this is all said and done and you understand how the motors and the lights and the sensors work, you could build a number of different things with this set, which is actually pretty cool. There is something inherently satisfying about the pieces snapping into place. You're building Lego. It's very relaxing. It looks like we're already getting into the gear section, so this should be interesting. Quite a bit of complexity here, actually. Building some layers here. Now we're getting into some really intense stuff. We got some pulleys we're gonna have to make, it looks like. It's actually really clever. There's a little notch in the gear that the worm gear kind of meshes into, so when it spins, it's going to make the whole thing spin. I'm always surprised at Lego, the level of detail they go into with their parts. It's pretty cool. So we've already got some motion and gears going on here. So it looks like it's going to be a pulley system. It's going to turn this worm gear and move the gear below. The other side's going to be the opposite. Now these bricks are interesting to me. So it appears that they actually have a switch inside. You can actually hear the little click, and they have the other 3-wire port similar to what we've seen in the actual connectors for the motors and so forth. So I assume these are going to be switches that tell the software when something has reached its limit or when something has hit another sensor. So these are interesting. Looks like we're going to put a couple of small axles on these. Okay. We're moving along now. We've got the basics of our turtle here. The idea is you give it directions as far as forward, right, left, an angle, and then you tell it further instructions. So it's kind of like a step-by-step thing, and they actually use it now in a lot of the STEM classes for kids. There's now games you can buy for home that are called like Robot Turtles and things like that. And it's all kind of based on the same idea. And now we have to build this kind of front bumper system, it looks like. Looks like we have to put together the actual wiring that goes to the controller. Conveniently, they tell you where to plug all of this in on the controller module. Again, my only concern here is that the switches are a little bit sticky. They don't seem to bounce back quite reliably, but that's all right because they're probably a limit switch anyway. And we officially have our Lego turtle and our control system. So now I think we can move on to the next step of getting this connected to the PC. So I've got my assembled Lego turtle here, ready to experiment with. I have been able to connect the ribbon cable of the controller to the IBM PC AT. I've loaded the Lego TC Logo software. I've got my handy reference guide open here to see how we're going to make this turtle hopefully move. And it does look like the controller interface, when I booted everything up, it showed all of the numbered indicators as red LEDs at first, and then it went back to nothing once I loaded the software. So I think it is communicating with it. Let's see what's going on with the software here. We can choose a page here. We can do a new page or turtle, and we'll just select turtle. And now it says to try this out, it's TFD for turtle forward and TBK for turtle back. So if I go to TFD 10, nothing happened. It says if it worked, great. If not, you have to turn around some of the plugs on the interface box. I just want to do a simple test to make sure that we're actually getting 4.5 volts out of the controller. Looks like we're getting about 3.8 volts. Aha! We have movement. Let me make sure I can get movement if I put this in the way it was. We'll just substitute this yellow plug, which has constant voltage on it right at the moment. And we got both motors talking. Let's see if we can do anything with the software now. If the turtle turned left, turn around the blue plug and port B. Haha, now we're talking. All right, now can we go backwards? Haha. According to the manual, the actual number sequence after the forward or back is the amount of time that you're basically issuing that command. So if I put in turtle forward 20, it should go a little bit further. And it does. Okay, let's go back 20. Nice. We should be able to make it turn by doing the left or right commands, which is only going to make one motor or the other turn. So if I go turtle left 20, nice. Now turtle right. That's pretty cool. They have some different challenges in this book where you can actually put like a pen or something in this kind of cone on top so you can make it draw, which is similar to some of the newer software for kids out there with STEM learning and all that. According to the book, we should be able to use these bumper sensors to basically make the turtle move until it senses it hits something, kind of like your home vacuum if you have one of those Roombas where it touches the wall and then it turns. Now this little program that it had me write is basically saying move forward, listen to sensor 6, which is one of the bumpers, to know if he needs to turn right, and listen to sensor 7 if it needs to turn left. Now the switch got stuck. That's pretty cool. I guess to stop I can just kill this. That is pretty neat though. I could see you putting this thing in some kind of a maze, making it figure it out based on the bumpers. So I think I'm just going to make a quick routine here just to make the turtle move forward, make a left turn, move forward again, make another left turn. Basically make this thing kind of go in a little bit of a pattern. I understand how the language works now. All right, you ready? Making a left-hand turn, going forward again, making a right-hand turn. Well, it seems to follow instructions well. It's pretty cool. It looks like from everything I'm seeing that, you know, you can have your motor control. So you've got your two motors that are making the movement and the right-hand and left-hand turns. There's also other accessories in the kit, like little lights that you can engage. So you could potentially put some headlights on this thing or something. Although it looks like there's only enough physical wires to do basically as much as we have now, other than the yellow wire, which I suppose we could make into something else. Let's give it a shot. The light does work. I've just got it plugged into constant power, but we should be able to control that by putting it into a different port. We've got port C open here, so let's see what I can do with that. If I'm reading this right, it looks like we can talk to the different letters. So A and B are the motor controls, and it looks like C is going to be our light. So if we go back down here and we go talk to, and then if we set this on, hey, it turned on. Turn it off. And let's turn it on again. Turn it off one more time, and let's put that into our routine. So all I've done here is I've added a couple of commands. So after it goes forward and makes a left-hand turn, it should turn the light on. Then it's going to go forward, make another left-hand turn, and then turn the light off. Let's give this a shot. Yeah, there's the light. Now it looks like one of my motors may have gotten a little bit disconnected on that one because it wasn't actually moving forward, but the sequence of events worked out fine. We had the light turn on when it was supposed to, and we had the motors going at the right time, so this is pretty dang cool, I have to say. This is all the same stuff that I'm seeing in modern STEM kits, but obviously many, many years ahead of its time. What a cool product, and it looks like there's just a lot of things you can do with it, with the different motors that are available and the sensors. I could see this being very useful in the classroom. There's certainly lots of activities and the paperwork that came with it. Very, very ahead of its time, and I'm really glad that we have this set here in the museum, and I'm really glad that everything seems to be working, and it's really a cool educational experience, even from something of this age. Everything still stands fairly true today. The idea of controlling a turtle or something that you can move with basic commands to move it forward, right, left, etc. Plus all of the other sensors and cool things that they put into the kit. Obviously there's way more you can do with this than what we've shown in this video, but I guess one of the cool things about the Vintage Geek Museum is that if you come visit, these are some things that you can see in person and get a chance to experiment with yourself. So we're looking forward to when that opening happens, and you can do that here at Vintage Geek. It also helps us a lot here at Vintage Geek if you could like and subscribe. If you like what we're doing here on the channel, we do these videos each and every week. Please check out our merch store. We've got lots of cool holiday gift ideas. It's all in the description below, so check that out right away. I'm Aaron, and until next time, this has been Vintage Geek.